Well, hello there, hello there, hello there, my people. It's your girl, Sean LeRae, with Boss Talk Live. Bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars. So, my guest tonight is a dear, younger old friend. I have to be careful with that old friend thing, whom I have known for, gosh, at least probably 15 years or something like that. And she was amazing then, and she's even more amazing now. And so you'll get to meet Miss Tammy Washington Dissension. So I want to tell you a little bit about Tammy. She is a professional author, speaker, investor, and entrepreneur. She's a graduate of the University of North Carolina at Chapel and has been an advocate of financial education for over 10 years. She is the author of Nailed It, Be It, Do It, Achieve It, a personal development guide to creating the life you want. She resides in the Dominican Republic, of all places, with her lovely husband and is dedicated to helping individuals to learn about the power of investing. So, without another word from me, I want to introduce you to Miss Tammy Washington Dissension. I love to say that.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you. So far, everyone that I've had the pleasure of guesting on the show is someone that I've known for a long time.
Mm.
And I am so honored to have you on tonight. And because what I love, and this show is about resilience, rejuvenation, and reinvention. And Tammy, I tell you, you are the picture of just that. So,
Mhm.
where do you want to start? First of all, let's talk about how we met.
Yeah. Yeah. So we met at church, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Yes, we did. We
In
did.
2000.
Getting our God on, okay? I love it. And so you're originally from North Carolina. Is that how that goes?
I'm originally from South Carolina,
Oh,
um, born and raised, and I moved to North Carolina for college. And then after North Carolina, I had this amazing dream of moving to Los Angeles. As a matter of fact, that was always my childhood dream. I remember being 5, 6 years old, sitting on my bed, looking out. I lived right behind a cotton field. Okay. I'm from
wow.
the country, right? Dirt roads, cotton fields. And I remember I would just sit there and I would stare and I would just say, "Oh my gosh, one day I'm going to live by the ocean. One day I'm going to live in California. I don't know how, I don't know why it's going to happen, but I do know that I'm going to live in California one day." And so after college, I really felt like this is my opportunity before I meet someone, get married, have kids, now is my opportunity. And so I went to Los Angeles. That's actually where I met you. And
Yes.
man, it's been a great journey, huh?
Yes, it has. My goodness. I feel like everybody, or let me say the majority of the people that I meet and know are not native Californians.
Right. Hmm.
Now, my husband was born in California. He was born in San Bernardino. But then when he was a little boy, he was like baby, like 1 years old, he moved to Louisiana and then came
Hmm.
back when he was 10. But he's still a native, right? But so many
Right.
of us are from somewhere else. Like, I'm from Ohio. And like you, Tammy, I always knew that I was going to live here too, but I was going to live in New York as well. And I did. So I'm happy to say that part of my bucket list was clear. So when you came to California, what was the plan?
So at that time, I wanted to be an actress. I was acting. So my thought was, I'm going to come out here. I'm going to work really hard. I actually wanted to be a television actress. I was in love with television shows, and I came out and I did it. I did the LA thing, if you will. Got the job at the restaurant.
So you
Right.
were a waitress, part-time actor, part-time
Yeah.
waitress.
Yeah, with the college degree, and everybody in your family is like, "What are you doing? Why are you wasting your life?" But yeah, living a two-bedroom apartment with 4 people. Okay, listen, I have done it all. Okay. Um,
I love it.
And, and I really think I pursued it hard for about maybe, I'll say maybe 8 years or so. And
Mhm.
you knew me during that time. And, I pursued it. I learned a lot. I had a lot of great experiences. I ended up working for the studios, experienced things that a little girl from South Carolina probably would never get to experience, seeing
Mm.
celebrities up close, things like that. But ultimately, about 8 years in, I remember I got a notice for an audition. And I'd had some, I don't know if I would say success. I had appeared on a couple of things. Let's put it
Right,
that way.
right.
So I'd done
Were you
something.
working for, was it Sony?
I was actually working for a company called Audiences Unlimited,
Oh
which
my
meant
gosh.
that I worked with all the different studios. And basically what we did was we coordinated their in-studio audiences. So you guys know how you watch a comedy back in the day, like in the 90s. No, it wasn't that the 90s for me, but I just want you to know what I'm
Yeah,
going
right,
here.
right, right.
But you know how you hear the people laughing? Those are real people sitting in an audience actually
Oh,
laughing.
Tammy, of course, I'm one of them. Girl, I
Yes,
was one of y'all's best customers.
yes, yes. So
I
we
used
were
to
the
do it for
people that coordinated
fundraising.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's actually how I got to go onto the studios, how I got to meet and see so many people, celebrities, things like that. And really, for me, it was about being in the environment so I could envision where I wanted to go, so I could be
I love
close,
that.
to the dream. Um, but yeah, like I think I remember getting like an audition notice, and I just remember that feeling of I don't want to do this. Like I
Mhm.
had no desire to go to the audition, and that really started making me think like, is this really what you want? Because when you get to the point when you're like the day-to-day things of having a certain career, you're like, I just don't even want to, I hate this. I don't want to do
Oh,
this.
yes.
Then it's time for you to kind of do some self-reflection and figure out, man, is this still what I want to do? Is this
Mhm.
still the person that I want to be? And at that point, that's when I started making some big career changes.
Wow. And you were still so young at that time.
My 20s.
Yeah. So, there's something to be said, about the kind of grounding that you get being raised in a small town, being raised in the South, particular. So, do
Mhm.
you think that that Southern upbringing is what helped you sort that out and not get sort of caught up in the lights, camera, action type of, because sometimes, I know people in the business or who have aspirations of being in the business will come out here and they will do or die, and they will fight and scrape and scrimp and never get to the place where they wanted to be, but they cannot pull away from the
Mm,
lights, camera, action.
mm. Yeah, I would say definitely having that grounding. I'll also say church, being
Mm,
raised in the church, like getting into the Bible really early on. For me, I always had kind of a bigger purpose and understood like, okay,
mm,
this isn't the biggest thing in life. The biggest thing in life is really what am I doing here on earth? Who am I helping? Who am I say like that was kind of my grounding of knowing that like, okay, no matter what it is that I do, it doesn't define me. Right now, I
mm,
will say it took me a while to get there. But I'll say that grounding and then also personal development. Personal development was really what helped me to understand that it's okay to change. Number
mm,
one, it's
mm,
okay to
mm.
change your mind. You make a decision at 24. That doesn't mean that you have to keep that decision for the rest of your life. But I think really taking my first personal development class, what it really did for me, it helped me to get very clear on my why. And so I
Mm,
think a lot of people, you got to start looking at why am I doing this in the first place? Like, why am I pursuing this? Like, why is it
oh,
so
that's
important? And I
good.
remember in that class, and it was just like day one of the class, I remember working with one of the coaches, and she was like, tell me your dream. Tell me what do you want? I was like, oh, I want to be on a television show, and then I'm going to win a Emmy, and then I win the Oscar. And she kept saying why, and then what happened, and then what happens in your dream, and then you get to a point where you're like, I have nothing else to say, and she's like, and then what happened? And as she kept asking me these questions, something popped out that I didn't even know where it came from. after I got to about the Oscar level of the career,
Mhm.
I said, and then I can go around and speak and teach people how to be successful. She said,
Mhm.
"Where did that come from?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she was like, "Do you like motivational speaking?" And I was like, "I love motivational speaking. I'd never thought of it as a career at that point." And she said, "Why do you feel like you have to win an Oscar in order to do that?" And I
Ooh,
said,
good
"Well,
one.
because who's going to listen to me?" And I did not realize that subconsciously I had created these layers to success. Oh, I got to be famous. I got to be on a television show so that people can listen to me. So then I could do this thing that I think is really
Mm.
cool. And she said something that changed my life. She said, "Why don't you just be a motivational speaker?"
Wow. Isn't that amazing? Something so simple, one sentence, right? Oh my gosh. So, Tammy, this is really good, but I want to shout out the audience. I want to say hello to my Sans and my Sora, Lanny Salter. And I want to say hi to my dear little sweetheart, Ty Jefferson. Ty. Her name is Ty Sonia, but and she's a grown woman, but she's just such a sweetheart. And so I just like think of her as my little baby. But that's what happens when you get as old as I am. And I also, and Lanny says, I love it, grounding in God's purpose for you. Absolutely. That is so important, Tammy. And I love that, again, you were, let's see, you got here at 24, is that right?
24.
So you were barely 30.
No, I'm sorry, 22. I got here at 22.
22.
Got
Okay,
there.
so you were really just about 30 at
Yeah.
that time. And
Mhm.
just to really be able to hear that, you know what I mean? And I think that the idea of grounding yourself in God, like Lanny says, that's phenomenal, because
Mhm.
that's why we don't get caught up in
Right.
some of the snares that could derail you. You know what I mean? So that is quite amazing. I want to see. Oh, hey, Terry. She says, hello, Sean, Sora Sean. Great information. Yes.
Mhm.
Hi, Alicia. Thank you for joining. She says, wow, that's awesome.
We are rich girls who trade.
Oh, IGT. Whoop, whoop. Hey, Connie. Good evening, beautiful and blessed women of God. Amen. Amen. So, I think so okay, let's get the story going, because I want to really get into your who you are-ness right now and right today. So okay, she said, why don't you just become a motivational speaker? And you were like, aha.
I never thought of that.
That's awesome. So then what?
So I really started saying, okay, well then how do I do that? And I started doing a lot of research. I really started getting very heavy into personal development. I started taking a lot of personal development courses. I became certified as a life coach. And then I also got into corporate training, because as I was kind of going down that path, I realized that that was a path that could lead to me being able to motivate people, being able to help people through leadership, things like that. So
Mhm.
so I basically started pursuing that. And at that time, I had been working for IBM. I'm sorry, Dell. My goodness, I've been working for Dell at that time, and I absolutely hated it. I am not the person for computer science, okay, but
I
it
understand.
was that thing where they're like, "You're a black woman, and this is a great opportunity, and you could make a lot of money." But I promise you guys, it is not worth doing something you absolutely hate for money. Because I was
Absolutely.
broke all the time anyway, because I kept spending money to make myself happy, you know? Um,
Ooh, ooh, wait, say that again. I love that. Say that again,
I
please.
found myself, even though I had been at that point making the most money I'd ever made, because I was working for, a computer science company. Um, I was always broke because I was miserable, and I was always trying to find ways to make myself happy. And so I was spending all of my money. So even though was making a good salary, I had nothing to show for it.
Yes, Connie says retail therapy.
Yes, doing anything to make yourself feel better about having
Yes.
to go 8 hours into a job that you hate.
Ooh, yes. Girl, I know. I have so been there. I have so been there. So when did you decide that it was time to ramp it up?
Right around that time, I was like, okay, I'm in this job that I absolutely hate. I can finally close the door on acting because I realized I don't even really want that. I just wanted that it was a means to an end. So now I can
Mm-hmm.
really pursue what I want. And so I did something that I highly recommend to people all the time. I started looking at, because I knew I was like, okay, motivational speaking, I'm going to keep taking courses, learning how to do that, how to motivate people. But then on this corporate side, let's see what we can do here on the corporate side. And I started looking up job notices for training and development, which is how you get into
Mm.
corporate training. And I looked at what they were looking for in a entry level corporate training person. And basically, I just went through on in the current position that I was in, and I started doing those things. So, for example, they're like, you need to know how to write training manuals. So I went to my manager and I was like, can I write up a training manual for the team? He didn't know that I was preparing for my next.
Wow.
Yeah, you want to write a training manual
Strategic
for the team?
planning. How about that?
Yes. Mhm. So I literally went down that list and I just started building myself up with the skill
Mhm.
sets that they were looking for. And so within a year's time, I had had enough on my resume where I could go ahead and start applying for corporate training positions. I did, I got a position, and that kind of started me on my track in the corporate world. And after I had been kind of doing corporate training for a while, I'd worked with some of the best trainers as far as motivational speaker. I worked with Les Brown. I worked with
Wow.
like Lisa Nichols. I worked with some of the greatest
Oh my goodness.
speakers.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, so I've got the experience now from corporate training. I've got the best training from the best motivational speakers in the world. It's time for me to go out and do it on my own. And so I wrote my book. Nailed It, with all of the things that I had done to change my life and my path, giving people advice on how they could do that. And I just started speaking. I started contacting groups. I started, contacting media, and I created my career. And
Wow.
so,
And
yeah,
right
that's
up
how I got in.
then. Oh,
Huh?
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
No, I said that's how I got in. That's how I broke my way in.
Well, there's a couple things. So, first of all, I love that you looked up what it took to be a corporate trainer and you
Mhm.
started doing that in the job that you had. That is brilliant. That should be right up there in the manual on how to create your own way, right?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
so often we're ready to just shut the door, jump out there, and then we're like, "Uh-oh, wait a minute, I
Oh yeah.
don't know what to do. I don't have a job anymore. I'm not getting that paycheck. I just I fulfilled one thing, and that is I got out of the place that I hated.
Right.
But what you did was create a plan, a strategic plan. I love, love, love that. And the
Mhm.
funny thing about it is, when I used to be in my semi corporate, it was corporate job at a well-known jewelry concern. Who shall remain nameless?
I remember.
Remember those days? And when I was there, I would always, like, I was singing with my band and doing my jewelry, and all the time I it was all, and I told someone this the other day, it's like you have a little secret because you know that your days are numbered and that
Mhm.
you have a plan that has nothing to do with this place, but you're soaking up all that you can soak up
Yes.
so that when you make your exit, you are standing strong on your own
Yes.
2 feet. And
Yes.
that's what I call stepping into your who you are-ness. Thank you, Lanny. Yes, your who
Yes.
you are-ness. And yes, Terry says extremely motivating, and it truly is. So, okay, you got your sure footing, you walked out the door and
Mhm.
started doing the very same thing for yourself. So,
Right.
at that time, were you like an independent contractor and you would um, hire yourself out to these corporations? How did that work?
Well, I was a straight entrepreneur, so I literally, was constantly just contacting organizations, contacting people. Hey, can I come speak at your event? Hey, I see that you have a conference coming up. Can I be considered as a speaker? Can I send you my kit? Like, just doing the things of
Mhm.
building that business. And it started off when I did leave corporate for the first time. I say for the first time because you know what? we'll talk.
We'll
But
talk.
the first time, and I was basically going off of pure adrenaline, pure motivation, pure, I got to make this happen. But it was honestly my first stab at entrepreneurship. And the truth is, most entrepreneurs fail their first time out. And I wouldn't say that I necessarily failed because I think that everything builds. But I will say that after about 6 months, I was like, ooh, boy.
I'm out here.
Ooh.
I'm just out here, right?
Okay. At about 6 months, I was like, "Ooh, it's time to downsize." And I'm just keeping it real because a lot of times we'll see people that say, "Start your business, be an entrepreneur, life of freedom." But it's hard because you have to learn how to be an entrepreneur. When you are used to having a paycheck coming in no matter what, it is it's a different experience when you've got to go out there and hunt every week
Yes,
for your
yes,
food. Okay. So,
yes.
so during that time, it was a great first entrepreneurship experience, but I did find myself after a while being like, oh my gosh, this is not enough money coming in consistently. So I've got to figure something out. But luckily, um, 2 years before that, actually about 2 years before that, I had read this amazing book called The Millionaire Mind. And I
Ah,
had gone to the seminar for that company because remember, I said I was very heavily into personal development. I was taking all the courses. And I remember sitting in that seminar and my mindset on money just changed. It just
wow.
changed after 3 days of being in that workshop. And I said, this is my tribe, this is my community. And so I stayed very connected in that community. And as I was in that workshop that weekend, the first time, I said to myself, I'm going to be up on that stage one day. I'm going to be teaching from that stage. And so what I had done was I was volunteering. I was giving away my services for free. When they would come in to the city, I would come in, volunteer to help them with their events. And I think that is something that a lot of people miss and forget, that when you're trying to do something new, you want to serve the people who are doing it already because you can learn so much just from being in that space, just
Yes.
being around the right people. And so
Mm,
I had been serving for about 2 years. Every time they came to Los Angeles, I had taken all of the courses. And so when I got to that place where I said, okay, I got to start kind of thinking differently and maybe getting some extra streams of income. Um, I spoke to that team and I said, hey, listen, I've always wanted to be a trainer for you guys. I have this amazing corporate training experience. This is what I've done. This is also what I've done on the motivational speaking side. I am a true believer in what you guys are teaching. I've actually used it. Like a lot of what I had learned about money helped me to get through that time of entrepreneurship. Um, and I just basically told them I would love to be a trainer for this company. And I didn't know what they were going to say, but I had to put myself out there. And they said, we'll give you a shot. And they said, we're going to send you to 3 different cities, and you're going to teach portions of this training. You're going to go on your own dime, you're going to pay for your own flights, you're going to pay
okay.
for your own
Okay.
hotel. We're not paying you to be there. And a lot of that is people want to see how serious you are. And so that's why when people say, like now, like, oh, can you help me? But then they don't want to put in any effort. I have no patience almost because I
Mm,
know what
mm,
I went through to get where I am. I
absolutely.
sacrificed so much time, money, energy. And at this time, I was in my early 30s, working for free because I wanted to be in the right space. And so I knocked out those 3 events. They were like, you are amazing.
Good,
and
good, good.
yeah, and so I then started working with that company as one of their speakers. And so that's why I say, my first run at entrepreneurship, it was hard, and I had to kind of learn what to do after the momentum was gone. But
Mhm.
it was so luckily, excuse me, I was so lucky that I had already been planting seeds so that when I did say, okay, well, what do I want to do now? Luckily that came right at the right time. And I got to do something that I absolutely loved. I then could focus on my business and growing that and making money without being stressed out because I
Mhm.
had other sources of income coming in. And I was able to really help a lot of people change their money mindset. And so that's what really got me
Love
into
it.
financial education. You know, that was the
So
first
tell me,
experience.
no, go ahead.
No, that was the first experience.
Absolutely. So Ty says these are some jewels, very helpful information. So I want to ask you, you said you took a class on financials and understanding money. And when
Mhm.
you came out of there, you really wanted to help people
Mhm.
understand money. Why is it so important that people understand the financial markets?
You know, for one thing, it is the one thing that we should all know, but the one thing that nobody ever talks about, right? Think
Mhm.
about
Come
growing
on.
up in school. Nobody talks about, okay, how do you actually grow your money? Oftentimes the school system, and nothing against the school system, we're just going off of what we know. We don't understand though that the school system was created by the factory system. So the school system was created to create employees for the factory system. That's why
Come
you
on
see so
now.
many of the same things, a bell rings and everybody goes to lunch, or that's how we know it's time to go home for the day. It was the same thing in the factory.
Yeah,
Line
like
everybody.
Pavlov's dogs.
Right, line everybody up, alphabetical order. Those were all things they did in the factory system. So they were like, well, let's train them early so that when they come into the factories, they're already trained and knowing what to do. And so,
Wow.
in that, we're never taught about finances. We're never taught that you should actually invest 10% of your money at least. We're never taught that the average millionaire lives off of less than 50% of their income. We're
Mm,
never taught that you should have separate accounts, for your money, that every dollar has a purpose.
mhm.
These are all things
Ooh,
I had to learn through my financial education courses. And so I'm passionate because I wish I could go back to 20-year-old Tammy and I would say, girl,
okay. Look, I
okay,
need to have
first
a
of
talk
all,
with 50-year-old Shawn Ray because some things was going
oh,
on. Wow, that is amazing.
yeah.
So okay, here we are. So you've gotten this knowledge. You're serving in this way with this company. So tell us what's next.
So I actually worked with them for 2 years, about 2 years. And then the company was kind of transitioning, if you will. They were being bought by another company. And at
Mm-hmm.
this time, I also was getting very homesick. At this time, I had been in Los Angeles for about 14 years. And, far away from my family, only seeing my mom and dad once a year, maybe twice a year. You have nieces and nephews and you miss their entire childhood because you live on a different side of the country. And so I really got that itch where it was like, man, it's time to go home. It's time to go home. And so I really started looking at, okay, what is it that I want to do? Who do I want to be? What's next for me? And so I decided that I was going to move to Atlanta, Georgia, because it was close enough to South Carolina. I didn't want to go back to South Carolina, but I wanted to be close enough. And I
Right, right.
Atlanta's I thought, I was like, Atlanta would be a great place for me. I had a lot of friends there, my best friend, a lot of family members there as well. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna go to Atlanta. I'm gonna do it. God, I don't know what's in Atlanta for me, but I feel like this is where you're sending me. And so
Mm.
I packed up all my stuff, went, drove across country for 3 weeks. You can see it on my YouTube channel. It's hilarious, this cross country journey. And then I arrived in Atlanta and I literally had to sit down and I had to reflect and really figure out what was it that I wanted. And right before I had left, um, through our company, I had taken a real estate course. And I said, I really want to get into real estate investing because I now knew and understand the power of investing. And I wanted to really get into that space on a deeper level. And so I
Mhm.
decided I was going to go to Atlanta and I was going to get into real estate investing. I came up with a great business plan, set up everything, had everything set up, with the business, started advertising. And got to the end of a couple of real estate deals, maybe 3 or 4 real estate deals, and the person like pulled out at the last minute. And then later on, I saw, they're gonna laugh at this, okay? They would contact me and say, well, tell me about this deal that you're trying to do. And I would be like, oh, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to set it up, blah, 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 blah. And they would basically steal my idea because they were like, well, why do I need the middle person? Now I know what to do.
Oh my God.
That happened. So I
Yeah,
just,
me and Alicia both say, wow.
like, I got so frustrated after it happened like the 4th time. And I had been living off of savings for months, you know? And I was like, I'm just not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. I was like, real estate investing is not for me.
Yeah.
And at that moment I was like, this is not for me. And I said, okay, what do I want to do? So I went back into corporate training because I always knew that was always a great fallback for me. So I went back into corporate training for an amazing company in Atlanta, teaching leadership, customer service. It was a really, really great company. Love them to this day. It was so hard to leave, actually. So I was there for 2 years. And since I had such a rough year, that transition of moving from California to Atlanta, trying to figure myself out, living off of savings, trying to get into real estate investing, getting burned over and over again, I said, you know what? This has been such a rough year. Now that I have money, I had good money coming in again. I was, getting things set up, beautiful, home and everything. I said, I'm going to go on vacation to an island. And, at the Caribbean, and I said, I've been to the Bahamas, I've been to Jamaica, I've never been to the Dominican Republic. And so I came out here to the Dominican Republic for my 36th birthday. And on that birthday, I met my husband.
Okay, stop right there. Stop right there. Oh, y'all, it's getting nice and juicy. It's getting nice and juicy. So I want to shout out to the audience again. We got Chantel Denise. She says, hey, ladies, y'all looking yummy.
Hi,
Yummy girl, I remember my Cheesecake Factory moment with you. I love what you're doing. You are fire. Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. When somebody can see you go from a waitress to where you're.
Yes, yes, yes. So I am really, I'm the love girl. So I'm so intrigued to let the audience know more about this journey. But I want to comment on a couple of things. So I want to go back to, you went back into corporate America. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important for entrepreneurs to hear, because sometimes the mindset is, no, never, 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 never say never. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is when you have written your own ticket, you go back in and you're doing something that you love, it's okay to go back and get yourself built back up, to fill your coffers back with cash dollars, baby, so that you can make the next move that you need to make. And I got to tell you, Tammy, the one thing that I keep saying and it keeps coming to mind for me is strategic planning. It's like you have done so much strategic planning. And so I want people out there to hear that too, because you can't just jump out there all willy-nilly, right? Mm-hmm. You have to have a plan in the back of your mind, at least, to carry you to the next place. So let's see what they're saying out there. Ty said, what? Wow. Now I know what she's talking about. She's talking about that met that husband part. So Lanny says, I know exactly how it feels when a potential client takes your intellectual property and then some. Mm-hmm. Yes. Now, Lanny is an amazing entrepreneur. And while I'm shouting out Lanny, I also want to shout out the matriarch of the Salter family, Auntie Yvonne Yolanda, which I have to tell you is Lanny's namesake, as well as her twin sister. So they are Yvonne and Yolanda Salter. And so it is wonderful to just shout out the matriarchs, because they are where we get our solid foundation. So Auntie Yolanda Yvonne Yolanda, we're sending you lots of love through the coffers here and through the airwaves and cyberspace, and happy birthday to you. So let's get back into this story. So Double O Seven, I love that girl. 0077, so good. Chantel says, honey, you are making moves. Congrats on becoming a Mrs. So
Thank
let's
you.
get back into this story. So, all
Yeah.
right. I'm sorry, I missed one. I got a shout out to my girl Camelia, the hug mistress of Black Women's Network. She says, great job, great ladies. All right. So we left off at a husband. Thank you, Alicia. Great. Okay. Husband. So you went on vacation and came back with a husband. So tell us how that all worked out.
So it's so funny. It's so funny because, man, I tell people all the time, I'm just grateful that I was in a space of just being open. Because and it's so funny. And this is what I mean when I tell people all the time, like when God has a plan, there's nothing that you can do, because this was all totally God. And I know it's God because when I originally said I was going to go to the Dominican Republic, I was going to go to Puerto Plata. And that was only because I didn't know anything about the island, and all I knew was Punta Cana. And all I thought in my head when I heard Punta Cana was spring break. And I was like, I don't want to be around a bunch of college kids, I'm a grown woman, And my cousin, who was going on the vacation with me, she looked it up on the map and she was like, that's too far away from the airport. No, we're going to Punta Cana. Now, it's my birthday, but she's like, we're going to Punta Cana. She was like, I already looked up the resort. This is where we're going to stay. I was like, okay. So I wasn't even supposed to be on that side of the island, really. But, it was God's plan, I do believe. Wow. And on the actual day of my birthday, we were like, oh, let's do an excursion. And I decided to do the party boat because I was like, well, it'll be like a birthday party.
Right.
Funny, crazy part is that my husband wasn't supposed to work that day. He had the day off.
This is getting good. Look at God.
Yeah,
okay.
He had the day off, but because there were so many tourists that booked his, the party boat, his manager called him and said, hey, we need you to come in today. And he was like, I'm not coming in. And he told his manager, I'm not coming in. And the manager said, well, if you don't come in, you're fired.
Oh.
That's the only reason my husband came to work that day.
Look at God. Okay, wait. So you know how people always say that sometimes God will try to get your attention and he'll just whisper to you, whisper to me, Daddy. And then you don't hear him. And so he goes, dun, dun, dun. I'm trying to tell you something here, boy.
You need to go to work today.
You need to go to work. But it took the manager saying, or
you're
going to
be fired. You. Yeah, I'm going to fire you.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, so he came to work angry that he had to be there, his one day off of the week. And he says, from his perspective, he says that when I walked up, because everybody's getting off the different, shuttles and whatnot, he said, when I walked up, he looked at all the other guys who were going to be on the boat that day. And he said, I don't want anybody to talk to her because that's my future wife.
What?
I know, right? Isn't that crazy? Now he's saying all this in Spanish, so I couldn't understand what he was saying.
Oh, that's rich. So he only spoke Spanish.
Yeah, well, he speaks 9 different languages, so he speaks English as well. But he said it to them in Spanish, so he said it right in front of me, but I didn't know what they were saying because I don't speak Spanish. So, but yeah, apparently he told all the other guys on the boat that nobody could talk to me because I was his future wife. Wow. And so he's a photographer. So he was the photographer on the boat who was taking pictures of everyone that day. And I didn't even notice him. Like, I didn't even notice him. And all I remembered was there was a guy taking photos, right? And I remember being like, it's my birthday. I want to do a photo shoot. And he did like a full on, I'm talking like hour-long photo shoot of my sister. And I remember like tapping him on the shoulder and be like, excuse me, sir, can I please take some photos too? And he turned to me and he goes, I'll get to you.
Talk about strategic planning. Oh.
So he strategically waited to do me last so that we could spend time together.
I
so
like
that
this
he
guy.
wouldn't have to rush off to do anybody else.
I
So
like
that's what he was
that.
doing, but it made me mad. I was like, why is this guy ignoring me? I want to take pictures too. I want to be fabulous on the boat. And so, yeah, he did my photo shoot and we started talking and he basically, just asking questions. And I'm that person, I'm that girl. If we're going to go somewhere, we're going to go off the resort. Okay. I'm not the stay on
Right.
the resort the entire time kind of person. And so somewhere in the conversation, I said to him, I said, I want to see the real Dominican Republic. And he was like, really? He's like, you want to go to a club? And I was like, yeah. And he said, well, me and my friends will take you and your sister and your cousin, we'll take you guys out. And so that night we went out and I have never danced so much in my life. We literally danced, I think, till like 4 o'clock in the morning.
We could have danced all night.
And I
Oh,
left thinking, I just hanging out with this guy for the weekend. What happens in the DR stays in the DR. It was one of those. I went back to Atlanta and I remember going to my Bible talk that week and talking to the group and being like, yeah, it was a great vacation. And I met this guy and I was like, he's really nice, but nothing's going to happen. Like I kept saying, I was like, nothing's going to happen. And I remember Sean one day, because we started texting. We started texting back and forth. As a matter of fact, I didn't even give him my phone number. I gave him my sister's phone number. And after a while, she was like, can you guys just text each other instead of going, this is crazy. Like, what are you doing? But I remember we started texting and then we started talking on the phone. And I still had that mentality of, this guy lives in a different country. Like, what are we going to do? Right. And I was like, I remember praying one night and I remember saying, God, nothing is going to happen with this guy, but I am so grateful. Thank you for showing me what I want my husband to treat me like, because I love the way this guy treats me. I remember praying that, and the whole time I didn't even know that that's my husband.
I love that. That is so amazing. And so I saw your wedding pictures. You were a stunning bride, of course. And that dress was everything.
I appreciate
So what was
it.
it like? So you got married on the island, right?
I did. Mm-hmm.
What was it like getting married in the Dominican Republic? Was it near the beach or on the beach?
On the beach.
Tell us. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
It was beautiful. Now I had a COVID wedding, so that was an experience all in of itself. So there was a lot of stress, pain, just because there were so many things up in the air. We were on curfew for a very long time, so we didn't know what was going to happen. But ultimately, it ended up being a really, really beautiful day, and we're actually coming up on our first year anniversary next month. So I'm like,
yes, Alicia, God has a sense of humor for sure. And it works out. I love it. I love it so much. So, okay. So now you've been married almost a year. And you love the island.
I do. I do.
Now, how's your Spanish?
Terrible. Terrible.
Girl, I would tell you to get a Rosetta Stone, but I know that you would not have time. So as I say that, I want to know, tell the audience what it is that you do now, today.
So right now I am an investor. Okay. So I invest and trade in the markets. I'm an entrepreneur. Also, I build a business around that. And for the most part, that's about all I do. I actually learned how to invest in the Forex and crypto markets so that I could move to the island. So when I got ready to move, I was like, okay, I need to figure out a way that I can make money from anywhere. And it was a friend of mine who said, Tammy, if you can learn how to make money in the markets and you can learn how to create residual income, you can live anywhere in the world. And so that's what I did. And so I buckled down and I learned. And 4 months after that, I was able to move to the island. And now that's what I do. I invest.
I love
trade,
that.
I help others.
You moved to the island to get to know your husband. Is that right?
Yeah.
I love it. See, girl, you wasn't playing. I'm not mad at you a bit. Now, what is his name?
Ho Chi.
Ho Chi.
Yes.
Oh, how she was smart, man. I like that. I love that. So you trade and you teach others to trade.
Right, right,
Ooh,
right.
that's exciting. And this is what intrigued me. I was like, tell me what you doing, girl, because every time I look up, you having some fun, and I want to know how I can be down.
Ah.
So, so all right. So I have a question that I ask all of my guests,
Mhm.
and so I'm going to ask you that now. So tell me what has been your most proud moment in the last 5 years, because you've had a lot of life going on,
Mm.
and just a lot of exciting things, a lot of really smart things, lucrative things, all of that. So tell us, what is your proudest moment in the last 5 years?
I think my proudest moment was saying yes to myself and actually moving here to the island. And the
Mm,
reason I say that is because every other move I've ever done in my life was for my career. Going to college where I went was because at that time I wanted to be a journalist and they had the number one journalism program in the country. I moved to LA because I wanted to be, in acting and in the entertainment industry,
mm.
So this was the first move where I moved for love. And so for me, boss chick, that was a really humbling moment because it was like, well, what if it doesn't work out? I'm leaving my stuff. I'm selling everything for a man.
I
That,
remember when that was all happening.
yeah, it was crazy because that was so not me. And
Mhm.
and so I think for me that was probably my proudest moment because I really had to let go of my own ego and who I was and just say, okay, you
Mm.
know, what if? What if it turned out to be the best decision I ever made?
Yes,
And
yes,
oh
I
my
love that. What if?
God.
Because because we talk ourselves out of things, and we
Hmm.
come up with all the reasons that it will not work.
Yep.
And that doesn't allow there to be a what if, and it doesn't allow you to live in your why. Like you
Hmm.
mentioned earlier, that you wanted something that you could answer that question to. Why do you do this? And
Hmm.
so I appreciate all of it. I appreciate that you were able to follow your heart in your career, and
Hmm.
then following your heart in your career led you to following your heart, and you found yourself a husband, girl.
The whole season.
Gwendolyn, hello, welcome to the party. She wants to know, do you teach day trading?
Definitely you can follow me on Instagram. You can go to my YouTube channel and you will find out some more information about our investment club where basically we help people to learn how to trade. And so I'm a part of an academy where we have lots of different trainers. And so we look at kind of what's going to be your best investment option or what's going to be your best trading option. And then we will, help you and guide you in the right direction from there.
Mm,
So yes, happy to
absolutely.
help.
Yes, yes. Good question, Gwendolyn. Lanny says that is truly a powerful, proud moment. Absolutely. It really is. Because again, as women, we sometimes kind of pull back and don't want to live out. And I call it living out in full tilt boogie. And I love that you've been able to do that with your life, with your
Mhm.
career, and now with your love. And it's amazing. Y'all should follow this girl because she be having a good time, I'm gonna tell you. So here's my proudest moment for you most recently, and that is your trip to Dubai. Can
Oh,
you
that was
tell us
amazing.
about that?
Oh man, that was that's been on the list for a while. And it just so happened that my friend, really great friend, Christy Larry, got an opportunity to go to Dubai to open up a fitness studio. Like she's just an amazing fitness instructor. She's worked with some of the best in the world, Jillian Michaels. Like one time she was rated for having the third best abs in Los Angeles. Okay, this is who she is. So they hired her to come over and start this fitness studio in Dubai. So she was going to be there for 3 months. And I said, this is my moment. I'm going.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
so, planned it, and I said, I'm going to go. And I was like, oh my gosh. And this will be me and my husband, this could be just this amazing trip that we do together. This was his first time off the island.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So,
Well, he didn't start small. I'm not mad at him.
I know. I was like, please don't kill me for your first plane ride ever in your life to be 30 hours. I so
Oh my
apologize.
gosh.
But it was
Gwendolyn said,
great.
first of all, Gwendolyn said she's about to cash out her pension, so she needs to talk to you.
Okay.
Um, and she also loved Dubai.
Yes.
So I saw some amazing photos of you guys on your trip, but I got to tell you what really sticks in my mind is that when I think of Dubai now, I think of Dubai being this sort of very remote place. It's like a world of its own. But I love that in 1 minute, I'm looking at you at the club dancing your heart out. The next minute, I'm looking at you have some giant hamburgers and some amazing drinks, like this ice cream situation. I think it was Oreo. And then the next thing I see is you're on a camel. And this was like, my gosh, if this place doesn't have every single thing that a woman, a man could possibly want in terms of adventure,
Right.
then I don't know where else does.
Right, right. And listen, seriously, kudos to the ruler of Dubai. Like just stepping off the plane and basically getting in the airport, you see the model of the city, where anything is possible. That's their model. And so just being in that city for 2 weeks literally changed my life, because just like what you said, you can do anything in that city that you can do pretty much anywhere else in the world. And they designed it that way. They designed it that way. They said, if we're building a mall, we're going to have the biggest mall in the world. If we're going to build buildings, we're going to have the biggest buildings in the world. If we're going to have a zip line, we're going to have the longest zip line in the world. Their mentality is we are going to be the best at everything. Oh, that was an experience. It was an experience.
That's a great motto for
Yeah.
everything that we've been talking about today, because you have not played small at all. And I love, love, love that. And I kind of watch you. And as I watch you live your life, it is that anything is possible. One. And two, if you're going to go big or go home. I'm not mad at you. I love it. I love it. Gwendolyn would like for you to give your follow info again. So say it slow because I'm going to type it in for you.
Sure. It's my name. So Tammy Washington de Cencion.
Whoops. Washington de I've gotten good at spelling this, I think.
Yes. And it's Sencion. I'm so grateful that my husband gave me such a sexy name.
I know. I love it. What's your name? Tammy Washington de Cencion, darling. Oh, I'm starting to be your capital Tammy, but that's on all platforms, Tammy.
On all platforms, yes.
Okay. See how easy that is. Tammy Washington de Cencion.
Yes.
So Tammy, are you gonna get that Spanish together, girl?
I'm getting it together. I am getting it together.
I mean, you were very smart in that you married a man who speaks 9 languages. So come on, I'm not mad at him at all. Hochi, did I get that right?
Hochi. Yes, Hochi.
I love it. He's a beautiful man. I have seen him on the social media. I can't wait to come out and visit.
Yes,
and see it all out there. So I just want to tell you all, I'm a rich girl who trades. I'm a part of the team, and I am slow at learning because I am so busy. But I am learning a few things. I got my crypto going on. Hey. And so it's all going to come together. But I'm really excited to learn from you. I think it's amazing. Let's see what she say. I thought I was the only one who thought that. Love the last name. Yeah, de Cencion. No, I absolutely thought that the moment I met her. The moment I learned the name, rather. Yes, I love it. I love it. Well, Tammy, what is it that you feel like you want to leave with the Boss Talk audience tonight?
First of all, thank you, ladies, for commenting. Thank you for being so active during this interview. Like the participation really kept this energy up. I loved it. And if there's anything that I could tell people, it's, really get clear on who you are and what it is that you want, and
Mm.
don't be afraid to go after it. Don't be afraid to go after it, even if it looks different than what you've wanted in the past.
Mm.
Because even, January is the month where everybody starts looking at their lives. They start saying, what is it that I want to do? What is it I want to see for this year? And for a couple of weeks, I was just like, I don't know what I want my next level to be. I don't know what I wanted and what I realized was that I did know what I wanted. It just looked differently than what I thought I should want. And what I
Ah.
want at this point in 2022, because especially as me and my husband are starting to think about children and things like that, I want all of my income to be completely passive.
Ooh, girl,
Completely
talk about
passive. We're
that.
talking dividend stocks. We're talking cryptos that pay interest. We're talking about multiple streams of income, all passively. And for
Mhm.
me, I felt like, wow, you're 39. You don't have the right to think that everything should be passive. And I'm like, where did that thought come from? So
Mm.
that's what was blocking me from being able to make my goals. And so once I realized that, Tammy, you have permission to want whatever lifestyle you want,
Ooh, girl, say that again. Say that again.
thing happen. Yes. And so, yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Everything is passive, everything is residual. I'm telling people, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm like, I'm not promoting any products unless I'm getting a residual check from it. Why? Because
Okay.
people have made too much money off of us. It's time for us to
Woo!
build wealth. Yes.
I love that. You preaching now, girl. What? Give
Yes.
yourself permission to want whatever lifestyle you want. You
Yes.
heard the woman, she said, go big or go home. She wasn't playing.
Yes.
Ty says passive income is the best income.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well,
Absolutely.
Tammy, that is the best advice that I think you could have given to the audience tonight. And I thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you on. And you shared some amazing things. You gave some priceless jewels, as Ty said. And then you also, for any single women out there looking for their man, don't be afraid to move. Go somewhere. Do something. Right?
Listen, you can come out here and get wifed up real quick.
Okay. All right. All right. See, I found my husband found me, I should say, at the credit union.
Mhm.
And so,
Oh,
yes, when you least expect it, you know? So, and that was amazing. So, Gwen wants to know, what do you know about Bali for living as an expat, passive income entrepreneur?
entrepreneur.
Living
Yeah,
as expat.
we should definitely talk, Gwen, because that's basically what I am. I'm an expat who basically lives off of passive income. So yeah, and Bali, I believe the level of income is probably around the same as the Dominican Republic, or I should say the cost of living is around the same. So we could definitely talk and chat and see kind of what that would look like what kind of investments you could look at, and how you want to work that. But yeah, there are definitely ways to do it. And I live around expats, so I promise you, people are living the expat lifestyle, and we
I
want.
love it. I want to be down. Lanny said, repeat that for the folks way in the back. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Alicia says she's on her way. Wait, no, here she is. She says she's on her way. And I feel like
Yes,
I might be going with her. I don't know. I'm thinking. So, Tammy, it looks like you're going to have a lot of folks coming to the Dominican Republic to see what the pickings are like out there.
mhm.
Well, again, Tammy, I appreciate having you on. It's been fun. I appreciate all that you shared with the audience tonight and all that they will glean from you. You all saw where you can find Tammy at Tammy Washington Dissension everywhere on IG, Facebook, and all of the above. And I am excited to learn from you in this whole market world. So thank you for that as well. So
Yes.
let's say our goodbyes to the audience. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for commenting. Please like, comment, subscribe. So subscribe to the Boss Talk channel. because we want to keep this going. I want to keep bringing to you amazing entrepreneurs like Tammy, amazing bosses like Tammy. So we're going to say good night now, but I want you to remember that you are a bold, one of a kind, sensational superstar. Thank you. And we'll see you next Wednesday, same time, 6 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Central, and 9 o'clock for my girls on the East Coast. Thank you. Good night.